Hi, I'm John Anderson, North American Product Specialist for the 3D Disto. Okay, I'd like to spend a minute and walk through the setup on the 3D Disto. First thing that we've done is we have powered on our control unit, which is the red button on the top. Press and hold it for just a couple of seconds, the unit will power up. It takes a minute or two to power up, let the software boot up, and then you'll get this screen on here, which gives you your various options. Now when you get your 3D Disto, the first thing that you're going to have to do is enter the activation codes and connect this control unit to our 3D Disto sensor behind me. In order to get your activation codes, there's two different ways to get that. First, your selling dealer should be able to provide you with the activation codes for the software. Secondly, you will want to go to the Leica Geosystems website at leica-geosystems.com and register up in the top left corner at My World. My World is the consumer portal where you can go in, register your unit for the warranty, and have access to all of your software activation codes. So if I go over to the My World website and I click on My Products, after you've registered yourself and you've got your username and password, you will have access to this. You will add the product to the My World website. So you would click on Products, Add Product. It will ask you for your part number and serial number for your 3D Disto in order to register the product. Your serial number for your 3D Disto is in the bottom of the measurement head on the 3D Disto, also with the equipment number. You will need both of these item numbers to register your 3D Disto. Once you've registered the 3D Disto, your product will show up on the screen and you can click on it to see the details of that product. Now that I've clicked on my 3D Disto, serial number 1750222 is my confirmation, you'll see that there's 3 activation codes for the 3 different softwares in your 3D Disto. It's probably best if you go ahead and print this page, but it will always be available for you to reference later if needed. Additionally, on the My World website is where all software updates will be published for your 3D Disto, in which case we would click on the Software tab, scroll down, and you're going to see a number of different options. One, there's an automatic update to update the firmware and or software on the control unit itself. Secondly, right now there is a 3D Disto sensor update, again updating the firmware in the 3D Disto sensor head, and that's a simple download. Thirdly, you will see an optional Windows software. That is not something that is readily available to the consumer products at this point. The 3D Disto software for Windows is designed for our software partners to operate the 3D Disto from a third-party software application. So you can download it, but you will not be able to activate that. Once we've gotten our activation codes for our 3D Disto, we need to connect the 3D Disto sensor unit and the control module. To do so, after we've powered up, we're going to be given 4 different options. The first option is a hardwire connection using the included USB cable. The second option is a Wi-Fi connection, which is the preference that we're going to work with today. Third is a standalone, and fourth is connecting the control unit to our computer to download files. But our primary interest right now is to connect our control unit to operate our 3D Disto. We're going to connect via Wi-Fi signal. So I'm going to connect via Wi-Fi. It's going to take just a minute. It says connecting. Well, you know you'll have a connection when you see the symbol in the bottom right corner showing something that looks like a satellite dish, indicating that we have made a connection. And there we've got our satellite dish. We have now made a connection, and our 3D Disto sensor head and control module are now connected together via Wi-Fi, and we're ready to start measuring. So I'm just going to go ahead and click OK here for a minute, because many times you're going to find out that you may not be able to connect via Wi-Fi. That is due to the fact that in many locations you're going to have some ambient Wi-Fi signals attempting to operate on the same Wi-Fi channel as our 3D Disto. If that is indeed the case, we're going to connect our 3D Disto via a USB cable. First, what we're going to do is get the appropriate cable. Down on the base of the 3D Disto, there's two little access points. We're going to plug the square plug into the 3D Disto. The other end of the USB cable will then connect to the side of the control module, right into the side. So now we've made a hardwire connection between the two units. We need to do this in order to change the channel on the Wi-Fi signal. So now I'm going to drop into my settings menu, actually my device menu. We're going to tap on Connect 3D Disto, and we're going to tap on USB. Now we're going to connect via USB cable. Down in the bottom right corner, we'll again see the indication that we're now connected via USB versus Wi-Fi. Now in order to change the Wi-Fi signal, if we're having difficulties connecting, we're going to open our file menu, touch on device. The second option down says W-Lan channel. You will tap with the stylus with the W-Lan channel. We're going to have choices from 1 to 11. So slide the slider over to a different channel selection, tap OK. It takes just a minute. Now the control unit and the sensor are talking back and forth. To lock that in. So now it's made that update. Now we can go ahead and disconnect our USB cable. Come back into our File Manager, Device, Connect 3D Disto, and then click on W-Lan. And the unit will attempt to make the new connection via Wi-Fi. And again, that just takes just a second. My Wi-Fi symbol has appeared in the bottom right corner. We've now made the connection. Now that we've got a connection between the control unit and the sensor head, in order to operate the unit, we're going to have to enter the software activation codes that we were given from MyWorld or from our distributor. You'll know that they have or have not been entered by tapping on the applications. If you see Toolkit, Room Scan, Projector, or Location are black, that means they have been entered. If you see Demo Mode, that means that the software activation codes have not been entered and you will need to enter them yourself. To enter the activation codes, we're going to click Device, down at the very bottom, Software, and then we're going to click on License. You'll have to do this procedure 3 different times. There's going to be a pop-up window that comes up. It says Enter License Key. We have our licenses that we printed out, and you will then type in the 20 digits that you were given from your distributor or the Leica MyWorld site. So you would go ahead, tap each one of those in, hit OK, and that will activate the first software. After you've activated the first software, you'll go back in a second time. File Manager, Device, Software, License. At this point, you will type in the next activation code for the next software. So you will do this 3 times for the 3 different softwares that are included on the unit. When you have finished that up, you can confirm that you've done it correctly by tapping the File Manager button, Applications, and you will see that the 4 different softwares are blacked out and active now. That should just about wrap up setting up your 3D Disto, making the Wi-Fi connection, and activating your software.